I'm also known as Brannagan the Shenanigan. Okay, let's get started. So, if you've been to one shopping center, you've seen the mall. There you go, okay. Okay, so one late night, I was driving home from my dad's. And when I say late night, I mean like of the 12 a.m. in the morning. And so, you know, I'm going down Highway 61, I'm just driving around, and I'm like, man, if I were to kill somebody, the only person for me to kill would be myself. yeah. And anyway, so it's just me down the lonely road of 61, you know. And then all of a sudden, a car is in the right lane, and I'm in the left lane, and I'm like, you know, we're just driving along, So we're driving, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the road, a whole herd of deer just popped out of nowhere, and so I'm just driving, you know, cuss words obviously came out of my mouth. And they just came out of nowhere. and then I hear like, on the side of my like car, and I'm like, and so I'm like, I pulled over to the shoulder on the left, and then the other guy pulled over onto the shoulder of the right, and then we're just like looking at each other in our cars, and then he looks back at me, and then I'm like, now it's my problem. And so that's when I started praying to God, because I probably just killed one of his beautiful creatures of this earth. And so I'm like, why? Anyways, and so I'm like, okay. I get out of the car. The car is like halfway in the grass and still halfway in the lane at this point, but I'm like, okay, let me check for damage. So I just walk around the car. I don't see any damage or anything. I'm like, okay, cool. Let me look for the deer. I'm looking out in the field. I can't see any deer. I'm like, what was that? And then I look down the road. There it is, just laying there. And I'm like, oh dear, oh no. And then, so I'm just looking at it, and it's just laying there in the middle of the road. I'm like, okay, maybe it ran into my car, and maybe I just knocked it out. Maybe there's hope. And so, I'm like, waiting for it to get back up any time now. I'm looking down at it, and then I see headlights. Why? Dang it! And then I didn't know what to do, and then I'm all like praying to God again, and then I'm like, what do? Do I touch it? Just leave it there? Do I bury it? I don't know. So just drove off and went on my way. And so learned from my experience. So now I know what it feels like when my brother ran over a river otter. And so watch out. And so I know some of you teenagers out there, some lawbreakers. That's right, folks, we're talking about hit and run. And so I've had my permit for a while now. We're going like 3 years back, by the way. And it was with my dad's like 2003 Chevy Malibu. Anyways, so my uncle, he's not really my uncle, but my uncle wanted to teach me how to go. So, well, anyways, we went ice skating, and then but then we were done ice skating, and then he wanted me to pick him up at the front of the ice skating rink, and I'm like, okay, no problem. it was my first time driving all by myself, mind you. And so, Chevy Malibu, parked in the parking lot. And then there's like a curb, and then behind it is some like big truck with like a metal cage around it and the bed of it. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, let's do this. And so I get in the car, and then I'm just reversing. Okay, I'm getting a little close there. Let me just back up a little bit more. And next thing you know, I turned on the windshield wipers and started making a big scene about it. And then, I kind of hit the back of that car. But I'm like, Larry, get in, let's go! And so he's like, hey, you're acting kind of weird. You know, you're a teenager, put on some tunes. Yeah, where I got. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And so we dropped the car off at my dad's house, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta go check out the damage. I walk out to the car, I go to the back, and I don't see any damage on the bumper or anything. I'm like, oh yeah, it's cool, I got away. And I'm like walking away, and out of the corner of my eye, I see that the left taillight is just completely busted. I'm like, oh boy. And so, I told my dad about it, but he was really cool about it. We just, had to put the car in the garage for a bit and go get out the other car. And then, so we drove back to the crime scene, and the truck was gone, thank God. But the truck was gone, and then we just picked up all the little pieces of the broken taillight. And then it's like, you ever have that moment of like, my dad was driving and I was in the passenger seat, and then that song came on, Stand By Me. Doom 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 doom. When the night has come and the land is dark. I forgot the words, but that song, like, Stand By Me, when you're just looking at your dad and he's just being a cool dad, and you go doom 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 doom, and I'm like, and so driving, let's see, I work at a place called McDonald's. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it. You're actually listening to the Employee of the Month of February. So yeah, thank you. I don't know why, but so one of my first couple weeks there, which was 2014. Anyways, they have in the back they have this little ground sink of stainless steel, and that's where you dump the mop water and you empty the grease traps and whatnot. So they got all these hoses for spraying stuff, soap and whatnot. Anyways, and so I'm just cleaning some grease traps as always. And then so there's these hoses, and I'm just shh. And then next thing you know, a little bit of mist is kind of coming out of the hoses. So I'm like, ooh, that's not good. Let me go get a manager. So I go get a manager after it was misting for a bit, and it goes psst. I'm like, yeah, I better go get a manager. So get a manager, come back, and so it's spraying the ceiling at this point, and we're all just panicking. We have no idea what's going on. We don't know how to stop it, and we're just freaking out. I'm just kind of laughing because it was hilarious. And then so it's just, eventually she walks over to the pipes and everything, and she just touches it, and all the pipes just fell off the wall, and now it's just, it is raining inside of McDonald's, and so we got a couple inches of water, and then it's just eventually we figure out how to shut it off, but for that I gotta apologize. I flooded the back of McDonald's. this other time at McDonald's, I was working the drink station where you hand out the drive-through drinks and everything. And, the first couple weeks there. And so we had an extra Coke that needed to be dumped out. And, me being an idiot, I'm just like, oh, okay. So I dumped it where you pour the ice. And then so it turned all this ice brown and Coca-Cola flavored. And there was nothing we could do about it. So all these people got Coca-Cola flavored ice. And it's just, I'm sorry. so when you work at McDonald's, don't do that. And where am I going at? I don't even know. So this sweet girl, I got a bit of a crush on her. And she lives like 2 houses down from me in my neighborhood. We rode the bus together, had a great time, had all these wonderful conversations and stuff. And then so I would always ask her to the school dances. She would always reject me. And but then I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna ask her out. And I came up with I thought pretty good pickup line. I'm all like, hey yo, girl, chick, what's up? And I'm all like, so I'm like a book, and pretty complicated book, but would you like to read this book? And she goes, not my genre. And then I'm like, oh. But then it's okay. I had a prom date, different girl. I had a prom date until she left me at prom and went to a party with some other guy. But yeah, my name is Brannagan Brooke. You can find me at youtube.com. That's BRANNAGAN space BROUK. Thank you and have a